Hello, Chelsea fans, and welcome back, Blues, to AGCFC. And if you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all things Chelsea. Like, is Enzo Fernandez going to be staying at Chelsea? Will Pedro Neto go to Saudi for that £100 million for Pedro Neto? Let's talk about those. Let's talk about the future. We got our coffee with us. Can you see the steam? Oh, that is brilliant. Anyway, we got some transfer news to get into, and as you've seen from the thumbnail, we're also going to talk about Chelsea's August fixtures in the Prem. We've got that second-round cup game against Luton, so we'll also speak on that. And then we're also going to, review and talk about how I think our preseason went as well. But first, will Enzo Fernandez stay or go? Chelsea fans, we are now past the deadline that, sorry if there's also a huge echo in here, I'm literally just in a hotel room, but we are now past the deadline, apparently, for Enzo Fernandez that Chelsea set, the £120 million for Man City. Man City also seemed to be the only team interested in Enzo Fernandez anymore. Was it really a real deadline, or was it mainly just like a type of trap to maybe get Man City to pay the $120 million really quickly? Just be like, oh, we need Enzo Fernandez, let's just pay it. But now I do think it will cost a lot more for City now to get him. And so I do think Enzo Fernandez will stay. The only thing that's hard now is I do believe Enzo Fernandez does want to leave. He's getting booed at Stamford Bridge. That can help out. His agent's probably in his ear going, mate, if you're going to be booed by your own fans at Stamford Bridge, we got to get the hell out of here. His agent can't be feeding him the right stuff because his agent wants to get paid. He's going to get paid more if he goes somewhere else. So it is what it is. He shouldn't have been that captain in that preseason game either, but it is what it is. And I've also seen apparently that, let me drink my coffee, that the owners want Enzo Fernandez out, like Egg Bali. The Instagram account that I follow, London Will Always Be Blue, posted that the owners want him out. Or this was on X, not Instagram. But I don't think that's real, but it gets the clicks, so of course you got to put it in there. But we know Xabi Alonso wants Enzo Fernandez to stay. We've seen that, in many interviews with Xabi Alonso. But if we do lose Enzo Fernandez, is anybody good enough to replace him? We got the names like Alex Scott, Adam Morton. I think Alex Scott would be the name to bring in for Enzo Fernandez. I think Adam Morton could be good, but Adam Morton won't get you the goals or an assist. I think Alex Scott would be a little bit better at that, but I do think Adam Morton, is a better player than Alex Scott. So you've got all these, if, buts, and maybes, I feel like, with Enzo Fernandez. But we will have to see what's going to happen with that. We're going to move on from Enzo Fernandez because I literally talk about him in every single video. So, is Pedro Neto headed to Saudi Arabia? Look, Chelsea want around $100 million for him from Al Hilal. But look, it's Saudi Arabia, mate. If anybody's going to pay $100 million, it is going to be the Saudis. I have to stand up for this. Pedro Neto for $100 million. $100 million. Is that what this market is nowadays? Absolutely. Unfathomable. $100 million. Let me drink my damn coffee. $100 million. Anyway, whatever. That don't matter. Again, Saudi Arabia have the money, but that's just an unreal price for him. He's good, and I do understand the price because, look, at the end of the day, Pedro Neto could be a useful part into the system. So if he's going to be a useful part in the system, we could use him. And so why would we want to sell him for anything less than like 80, 100 million when he will be a useful asset for the team? So I do understand the price. Some other players have been going for, like Diamante going to Madrid for like 140 million. That's like the normal now. It's absolutely unreal. But I think another thing to talk about with Pedro Neto is, does he want to leave? I think so, in a sense. Like, I don't think he wants to go anywhere else except Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia would be the team in place to pay that kind of crazy money. But I want Pedro Neto to stay. I think he fits the system well because he can play. If we play the Xabi Alonso 3-back system, he can play as a winger in those like two cam/winger spots, or he can play in the left wing back and even right wing back. We've seen he's played left wing back, and I think he does okay in that. Anyway, let's move on from that. We've got the preseason review now. So this is only preseason, so we'll kind of just go through it really quickly. Look, the fixture results. What do we got? My days, let me look. So we beat Western Sydney 6-4, crazy game. We lost to Juventus, lost to Tottenham, lost to Juventus by a wonder goal, lost to Tottenham in the last minute. We beat Milan 3-0. That was the highlight probably. That and Real Sociedad were both really good games. And then the Jahar team, whatever. Against Real Sociedad, Rogers got his first goal. Joao Pedro scored 2 goals. Against Milan, Joao Pedro scored 2 more goals and Caicedo got a goal. Look, Joao Pedro, man, he's been playing absolutely brilliant, but we'll touch on him a little bit better. So how do I feel about these results? Look, Western Sydney 6-4 was just a crazy game. We're playing a lot of backups. Then we brought in a lot of the good players, and the good players dominated Western Sydney. Let me drink my coffee. And look, obviously, you got to take all these results with a grain of salt because it is preseason. But then we lost to Tottenham in the last minute. It is what it is. Lost to Juventus, do a wonder goal. It is what it is. Look, Tottenham and Juventus, we should be beating them, but at the same time, it's Tottenham and Juventus. They're good teams. They're not shite teams and like terrible divisions. Now, the 3-3 draw against Jahar was kind of a little bit of a concerning result, but when you look at the lineup, Delap, Asugo, Nico Gizzuli, Towson, terrible, Sharman Lone, and Semino. We had another center back another academy boy. Jackson was playing on the wing. It wasn't the greatest lineup ever. Not anything we'll see. Now, if we go to Real Sociedad, if I can look up the lineup for that game, Palestra, Neto, Fofana, James, Caicedo, Joao Pedro, Palmer, Lacroix, Sanchez, Cowell. So a much better lineup. And the games where we had our main starting lineups were the games we really seemed to take advantage on and play really well in. So, again, I'm not too concerned. I think against Milan and Real Sociedad, let's just look at those games. Real Sociedad's the most recent one. That's where we had most of our starting lineup, and we won it. And Real Sociedad's a pretty good team, so we'll take it. Look, now the players that stood out in the preseason, Joao Pedro, I feel like he had 8 goals in 5 games or something like that. Looked absolutely brilliant, but we know that. Looks like he's on pace for another great season. Could he win the Golden Boot? That's something we'll have to look out for. Palestra, great new signing. He's been brilliant. Let me drink my coffee. Oh, so good. Palestra looked brilliant. He's definitely a player for the future to watch out for. Aaron Anselmino, I thought he looked great. He got that huge injury, but now it looks like we might be sending him out on loan, so he must not be that hurt. Lavia played a first full 90 minutes. Please stay fit this season, man, especially if we lose Enzo. We're going to need you. But even if we don't lose Enzo, you are a phenomenal backup. Please just stay fit. Look, this is your last season, mate. If you're not fit, I want to see him gone. Cole Palmer looks back. Look, I think this season Cole Palmer is going to struggle in the goals and assists department. Maybe mostly goals. I think assists, maybe he'll be okay in. But the goals, I think he'll definitely struggle in. But I think he's going to take on a really kind of controlled playmaker position while, we don't necessarily need goals from him anymore because we have Joao Pedro. Rogers can support. Even our wingbacks can really support. So I'm just glad he looks back, at least dribbling-wise, passing-wise, whatever. I think Quinta looked really good too. We didn't see much of him, but whatever. Now, Jackson, it looks like he's still up for sale, which is kind of unfortunate because I thought he looked brilliant in the games he played. Delap, Towson, they did not look good, but they did stand out in a bad way. They need to go. Delap, I don't care about selling him for profit, any of that kind of stuff. Please, let's just get rid of him at this point. Anyway, lastly, I want to talk about August preview. We've got Fulham, Luton, Brighton. Let me see when we play them. Fulham we got on Monday. Then Luton we got on Thursday. So we got Tuesday, Wednesday is rest. Only 2 games in our first days. And then Friday, Saturday is rest. And then Sunday we play Brighton. Oh, wait. I think I need to change that in my calendar. I think that's messed up. No, it's not. Okay. Sorry about that. Whatever. We'll save the predictions and stuff for later. but I still want to go through what I think we're gonna win, lose, draw those games. But obviously, we know this is a great chance to get off to a great start in the Premier League. Two very hard games, Fulham away. They've got Arbeloa, the old Madrid manager, so I think they will have a good season. We've obviously got another old Madrid manager. It's a London derby to start. They're right down the road from us. Again, new manager for both teams. But I unfortunately do think this game is a classic 0-0 or 1-1 draw all over it, so I do think we are unfortunately going to draw. I could see us scoring early. Looks positive. Game dies out. They score later on. So I think we will only get 1 point from that game. Luton should be nice and straightforward. Get a lot of backups in there, like players like Quenda, a chance to prove himself, like a Gusto, maybe a Jackson if he's still here, maybe even a Delap. But you don't want to go too rotated because Delap and Tosin suck. I never want to see them again, actually. I take that back. I do not want to see Delap play. But that should be an easy 3-0 win. Should be moving on to the third round of the Carabao Cup or the EFL Cup, whatever you want to call it. Then we got Brighton. Brighton, lastly, we'll touch on this real quick. A team we always seem to lose to. But you know what? We're not going to lose this year because they don't have Danny Welbeck. I think that will be a win. And that's going to wrap up the video. That'll give us 4 points at the start of the Premier League season. I would take that, honestly, as a fan. That'd be like, it's not great, but it'd be like a 6 or 7 out of 10 start. That's fine. Obviously, if we win all 3 games, even better. We could maybe be sitting top of the Prem. We'll have to see. I'm not going to get too far ahead of myself. But if you've made it this far in the video, please make sure you subscribe. I would like to get to 100 soon. That'd be absolutely phenomenal. And I will see you guys all in the next one. Peace.